and the president wanted him to go on. Of course, you all know the relationship that existed between President Mahama and the likes of Dr. Edward Omani-Boamah, who made it described as a confidant. In fact, they say when the 2016 election was lost and the NDC, as a result, became a very unpopular brand, it was the likes of Dr. Edward Omani-Boamah who stayed behind, strategized, to make it an attractive brand again, and of course, eventually win power in the 2024 election. If you listen to the tribute of Dr. Ibrahim Mutala's wife, he said she literally had to share the husband with the president.
With the president.
I mean, it wasn't literally, right? It was more figuratively to explain that the husband was literally at the beck and call of the president, working or serving in the interest to help make the country and the environment a better place as Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. So it's important to note that these heroes, as we've all collectively agreed to call them, loved their nation deeply. They cared about a prosperous Ghana, a Ghana that, we all want to see. And as the president has said, it's important that we honor their memory by working collectively to achieve a Ghana that is, these persons envisaged in their lifetime. A Ghana that is just, a country that is prosperous, a country that, has respect for, one another, obviously, and in the case of Murtala, an environment that is, devoid of all of the degradation and the destruction we've seen, specifically with regards to Galamsey. And in the case of Dr. Omani-Boamah, he, in the tribute, you get the sense that he was very keen on a military that is modern, a military that is capable, and a military that is efficient with every task that is given. So I hope we are able to work in line with the vision these, victims of the crash had.
I must also commend the presidency for yesterday's coverage. We're all taking from one source, and it was seamless. From the ground, the Black Star Square grounds, all the way up until the cemetery, the military cemetery. Solid production. I doff my hat to the production team at the presidency. They did an amazing job, and I think we gave these gallants a befitting burial, and they deserve all the credit. We thank them for their service to Ghana, and we hope that going forward, the reason why they were going to service Ghana, they get something is done about Galamsey in our country, because it affects us all in one way or the other, from the water, the land itself that we use. So.
Yeah, I mean, we heard
the death is not for nothing.
We heard the Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, whom also shared very personal relationships with some of the victims of the crash. And according to him, President Mahama in the coming days will work to ruthlessly deal with Galamsey. And it's important that as media, we also highlight that a lot. And I mean, your observation around the work government did in terms of putting in place a dignifying send-off or farewell to the victims of the crash is well in place. It's something a lot of people agree to. And I also want to commend the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and the Vice President, Professor Jenano Pokwajimai, for the exceptional show of leadership. Why am I saying that? Because we saw how they rallied the nation together as chief mourners. You can only imagine what they were going through. To lose your defense minister under such circumstances is unimaginable, right? But we saw leadership rally the entire nation together. We saw the vice president acting as the chief or the consular-in-chief. There was a video of the president obviously in tears, and you can understand why. And the vice president was the one who offered a shoulder. We've seen videos of the chief of staff.
It's the woman that we needed at that time. She lifted the men that she surrounded with, by the hand. She took the bull by the horns.
Exceptional show of leadership. So I want to commend, those at the presidency, the office of the president himself, the advisors, for a good job well done. Of course, we didn't want this to happen, but it has happened, right? The office of the vice president, you know, for rallying the nation together. And I'm sure that posterity will be very kind to them for what they did in honor and in memory of the fallen eight.
Yeah. Let's go into our papers, which are still talking about the fallen eight. The big story on The Spectator, your weekend companion, it's all tears as hundreds bid farewell to helicopter crash victims. Other stories you'll find: regulate prophecies, ordination of pastors. A security analyst is saying so. Nutrition must be gender sensitive. Policies should address unique needs of women, including maternal nutrition. The back page of The Spectator Sports, let the referees cash flow, and they have a picture of Kurtu Kreku. One of the big debates in the sporting world here in Ghana. All right, arm wrestling, immigration prisons meet African champions. Then on the front page of The Mirror, Ghana's most popular weekend paper, the big story, Tears Tributes tell story of lives cut short. And there's a picture of the late Dr. Samuel Sapong's wife, visibly shaken and in anguish as her tears pour.
I know.
Hold on, Jude. Let me finish with the headlines on The Mirror. Tour guides accused of undermining arts center business, and mother burns son for losing pen. That's the story on The Mirror.
For losing what?
Pen.
Pen.
Yes, pen.
So a mother has burnt
her son.
Oh, no, this can't be proper. This is evil. Wow.
I'll give you that story. Give us the other stories.
Daily Graphic Weekend Special, big front page story. Nation grieves. It comes along with a photograph of the casket containing the remains of the departed eight, as we've come to call them. Story by Kester Iburam Kranche. As it says, nation grieves, 8 patriots laid to rest. Also on the front page, honor for military heroes, care for crash victims' children. Also here, 8 wives, 8 voices. Love woven through emotional tributes. Very difficult to listen to yesterday at the Independence Square. On the back page, police ladies to draw inspiration from Hazaka's ladies, and also Co-United supporters set for Congress at Empire. So these are the big stories on the Daily Graphic Weekend Special.
All right, I'm on ChannelOneNewsOnline.com. Some of the stories you'll find on ChannelOneNewsOnline.com. Galamsey fight will be intensified to honor the fallen 8. EPA Deputy CEO says so. Will dishonor Omane Boama and others if we fail to end Galamsey. That's according to Kwesi Pratt Jr. Pricing good faith, cuts international tells DStv. UK Bar Council, Commonwealth lawyers demand reinstatement of suspended Chief Justice. Government slaps 10,000 Ghana cedi daily fine on DStv over pricing data breach. 6 victims of helicopter crash laid to rest. Helicopter crash, 5 civilians to receive posthumous national honors. That's according to our president. Our president again announces fund for children of helicopter victims. And may Ghana forever remain worthy of your sacrifice, Muhammad, to crash victims. Thank you for your selflessness and service. Upuku Ajimai to crash victims. That's our vice president. Forever in my thoughts, Sergeant Ado Mensah's wife pays heartfelt tribute. We salute you for serving with pride. CDS to Omane Boama and the 3 officers. Your sacrifices will never be forgotten. Council of State to crash victims. Bafemi was my answered prayer. Squadron leader Anela's wife pays heartfelt tribute. The photos of the state funeral to honor the helicopter crash victims. Sleep well, my handsome miracle child. Omane Boama's mother pays tribute to her son. He was a good man with a kind heart. That's the Defense Ministry's tribute to Omane Boama.
citynewsroom.com, Bolgatanga Technical Institute shuts down over violent student unrest. That's a big story here on citynewsroom.com. Other stories here read, and Galamsey, Anna of Omanebo, among others, Kwesi Pratt Jr. speaking, like you brought to us. Government warns DStv of possible shutdown by September 6th over regulatory breach. And yesterday we saw a statement from the UK Bar Council and Commonwealth lawyers calling on government to reinstate suspended Chief Justice, and that's to President Mahama. We know the issues with regards to the suspension of the Chief Justice, Madam Gertrude Tokonu. 6 victims of helicopter crash buried. We know the previous 2 Muslims involved were buried last week Sunday at the military cemetery. Now, moving on to some other stories, or still in relation to the helicopter crash, Stanbic Bank donates 500,000 to fund for crash victims' children, and that was announced by His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama in his address yesterday during the state funeral for the victims of the helicopter crash. Any other stories for us, Eno?
Let me take us to graphiconline.com. Some of the news you'll find on that portal. 4 killed in Star Oil fuel tanker accident at Esukoko. NTA finds DStv 10,000 Ghana cedis a day until pricing modules are submitted. Mahama confers posthumous promotions as helicopter crash victims laid to rest. Oh, Sapon Kumankuma. Widow's tearful farewell to husband lost in August 6 crash. Life is fragile. Bagbin's emotional tribute to helicopter crash victims. Mahama to posthumously honor civilian victims of helicopter crash. Mahama, you are not alone. President sets up fund for victims' children. Our hero, our anchor. Children break down as they pay tribute to Samuel Sapong. Take care, babe. I love you. Widow recalls late husband's final words before helicopter crash. I shared my husband with Ghana. Widow's heartfelt tribute to Dr. Murtala Muhammad. The silence is too loud. Widow's heartbreaking farewell to Guinean Air Force pilot. Grief forever. Family of Dr. Murtala Muhammad pays emotional tribute. NDC mourns fearless Dr. Omanebwama at state funeral. We were destined to be together. Omanebwama's wife remembers Kinky and Fish love story. UNICEF partners CSOs to intensify HPV vaccine campaign. Other stories you'll find: stakeholders sensitized to gender affirmative action law. And Ablakwa says President Mahama to lead ruthless onslaught against Galamsey. Any portals? Any other portals?
Can we delve into some of the stories?
Yes. Before that, let me quickly do GhanaWeekend.com. Becca's husband surprises her with brand new 2025 BMW X6 in Mykonos. Rapper Sean Kingston sentenced to over 3 years in prison for $1 million fraud scheme. Oh, how? Why? You deserve the best. Becca's husband showers her with love in birthday message. Gospel singer Mercy Chinwo husband welcomes second child. Government fines DStv 10,000 Ghana cedis daily for withholding pricing data. Jeff Bezos' mom, Jacqueline, dies at 78. 6 victims of helicopter crash buried. And Stonebwoy didn't pick $1 at Davido's wedding. That's his wife. Nana Asase marries in intimate ceremony. And the 3 Wontumi radio stations, 6 others suspended. All right, let's go into the stories.
Let me move to the standoff between government and DStv. As we know now, government has fined DStv 10,000 daily for withholding pricing data. This story is on citynewsroom.com. Except to read, the Ministry of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations has begun imposing a statutory fine of 10,000 Ghana cedis per day on MultiChoice Ghana DStv for failing to submit critical pricing data requested under the Electronic Communications Act, ECA. The penalty took effect on Friday, August 15th, 2025. The sector minister, Honorable Sam Nate George, announced the decision during a meeting with the DStv team at the ministry on Thursday, August 14. He explained that the requested data, including a breakdown of the bouquet prices tax component and comparisons with at least 6 other African countries, was essential to support meaningful engagement on reducing subscription fees for Ghanaian customers. According to the minister, DStv had been granted an extension until Monday, August 11, 2025, to provide the information but failed to meet the deadline. Hence, the 10,000 cedis daily fine. Like,
I remember yesterday we spoke to Sam George on Eyewitness, and he mentioned that they had even extended the time that DStv was supposed to submit that day, the pricing data for them. And so he had, as sector minister, he had asked NCA to hold on to that 10,000 Ghana daily fine. It's in their law books that if you falter on a request as they had granted them, then you are subjected to a 10,000 Ghana cedis daily fine. So when they asked for an extension of the time, he granted it and asked NCA not to, give them that fine. And they've breached the extension. So thus the daily fine of 10,000 Ghana cedis. And yes, there's a standoff between the ministry and DStv, and I hope that, they settle this issue very soon so that EPL lovers will know whether they are going to buy data to watch it.
VBN.
Please, EPL lovers will know whether they are going to have to buy extra data to watch it online.
So that's a big story from the Ministry of Communications and Multi-Choice Ghana.
I have The Mirror, Ghana's most popular weekend paper, and that story where we're all shocked about. A mother burns son for losing pen. The story reads, a 25-year-old cook in Ho, Jemima Kweku, who allegedly burned her 11-year-old son on the belly, back, and other parts of his body with a heated pressing iron as punishment for losing his pen at school, is standing trial at the Ho Circuit Court. The court, presided over by Abdul O. Hakim, was told that the accused locked the helpless child in a bedroom before carrying out the brutal act at Ho Barracks, Newtown. Assistant Superintendent of Police Noah Muzu, prosecuting, said the incident occurred on July 15 this year. The accused, who appeared before the court on July 21, pleaded not guilty to causing harm. According to the prosecution, the accused became enraged when she discovered her son no longer had the pen she had bought for him. The boy explained that a classmate had borrowed it but forgot to return it, adding that he would collect it the next day. Unsatisfied with the explanation, the accused ordered the boy into the bedroom. She then plugged in a pressing iron, and when it became hot, pressed it onto the boy's belly, chest, lips, shoulders, backside, and other parts of his body. The court heard that the accused later warned the boy not to tell anyone about the incident. However, when the boy went to school on July 18, his class teacher noticed he was unusually quiet and withdrawn. On being questioned, he mustered the courage to narrate his ordeal. The teacher informed the headmaster, who reported the matter to the police. The accused was arrested and the boy was taken to the hospital for treatment. In her caution statement, the accused admitted to the offense. The court was further told that the boy is now in the care of social workers. The accused has been remanded into prison custody until August 19. It would be recalled that a similar incident occurred in Ho in May last year when a 62-year-old woman, Margaret Gaffa, was arrested and prosecuted for burning her 9-year-old niece for failing to sell all the kebabs she had given her before school. That child was also taken into social care. And there's a picture of the injured boy. They're showing his back over a pen.
People have been praying for children, praying that God blesses them with the fruit of the womb, and people have it and see what they're doing. But I think that it's important that the law takes effect, and these persons are dealt with in accordance of the law. I mean, if you are beating a child from misplacing a pen, what do you do if, he or she mistakenly misplaces, money, and this is it's sacrilegious. And for me, I think that, again, we don't have an effective social welfare system, because I think the woman needs to go through some form of counseling, and in the immediate term, she should not be allowed to be in custody of the child.
At all.
A
pen.
She's.
My mother never shouted at us even if we broke a plate.
See, we were
because it's replaceable, is it not?
Exactly. Well,
why, your mother shouted at you when you broke a plate?
See, Charlie, we were all beaten at a point,
Yeah, but for plate, a pen. Pen, oh, Jude. Oh, my word.
The point is that at a point, we're all disciplined in different forms, right? But it didn't spill over like this.
Yeah.
And I think, or I believe strongly, that the parent involved needs to go through some form of counseling. It was probably not intended to go that way, and it spilled over, right? So whatever it is, I think that in the immediate term, the child should be taken away from her. She needs to go through some form of counseling before she's allowed to, custody with the child again. Because this is just irresponsible in any way or form you look at it.
I think it was intended to lock him up and plug an iron and wait for the iron to get hot and deliberately burn different parts of his body, including his lips. Oh, it was intentional, because you don't just think of such a punishment.
Or probably it's witchcraft.
Well, whichever it is, whether she's going through trauma from her childhood or whatever it is that she's
because if you had an effective social welfare
this
system,
is absolutely wrong.
And I don't know how well DStv, and maybe we should do a news report on it.
Yeah.
I don't know how well DStv and all of those agencies, or bodies, responsible for some of these things are faring now. But clearly, if they did, would have heard something on this, even before it came to the media.
Yeah.
So my point is that the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, they have a lot to do. They have so much more to do beyond just sharing lip money and school feeding contracts. Yeah, they should be interested in how children, especially in remote parts of the country, are faring.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that, and I really hope that they take this news up seriously. Get the child a temporary shelter, as investigations go on. And I think the mother, again, needs some form of counseling, through this rather horrendous act. I don't want to believe that it was intentional, I really don't want to believe that was intentional.
Yeah, maybe it's intentional. The fact that you can turn on an iron and wait for it to get hot, it was definitely intentional. And I hope that the full rigors of the law are meted out to her. And I hope the child also gets psychological help as well, because this is traumatizing and it might affect him in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
And he might take it, such traumas, if they're not dealt with, tend to, go with you when you grow up, and then you might also mete out the same kind of punishment to your children. Any other stories you want us to review?
I think we touched on it. Yesterday was all about the funeral.
Yeah.
We brought different angles to that. We talked about the posthumous promotions.
Yeah.
We've spoken about the helicopter fund, crash fund for the children and immediate family. We both agree government did a great job in sending them off, from that initial horrendous scene of putting them in sacks. So, yeah, I think it's a good time to just move on.
All right, people, when we return from this quick break, don't pick up your remote. We'll be back with our favorite segment, What's Happening? Don't go away.